my man got too familiar, and I ended up having to whip his ass, man, because, he would step across the line. Habitually. He's a habitual line stepper.
It is what it is. But yeah, I'm good. And then I had migraine for the last 2 days, and that migraine life, I ain't about it.
Yo, I think I'm joining you on that.
That sounds like
now.
you're dehydrated. Have you been drinking?
Bro, listen, you know how many of these damn things I drink a day? I drink a lot of these a day.
No, I don't.
You got to put some salt in it.
How many do you drink? Yeah.
I drink about 6 to 7 a day.
You need some salt in it, so that way you can retain the water.
A little bit of salt. Well, that's electrolytes. Yeah. What is your nutrition?
Too much salt in my diet.
Yeah, because you be dehydrating.
That's the other thing.
Sauna shit. Yeah, retain that water. All right, we're recording, guys.
Yeah. What I miss, man? What I miss?
Apparently Lionel Richie is black, and
who thought he
what
wasn't?
was the other thing that we? No, bro went to an HBCU. He's an alpha. I was like, wait, what?
Oh, like he black. That's a third black. Lionel Richie been black.
Yeah,
he black. Okay.
Lead singer of the Commodores. It was like, oh yeah, you automatically there. But yeah.
Okay, yeah, the Commodores ass black, but A5A, okay.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Like he went to Tuskegee. He's from Alabama.
He went to Tuskegee. He went to the blackest college.
Yo, that's what. So that's where it started. Because I was so we were talking about, is college necessary?
Oh,
and so I was looking up Yeah, so I was looking up who went to college and who didn't, and they had Oprah on the list. I was like, "What? Oprah went to college? I knew Oprah went to college." But apparently her TV career started popping off when she was one credit shy, so she dipped, and then I think she finished later. On that same list of celebrities who went to HBCUs, because that was next to it. So I was like, "Oh wait, who went to a HBCU?" And on the list was Lionel Richie, and it said he went to Tuskegee University. I was like, Tuskegee University?
The HBCU.
Why? I was like, why?
Isn't he from New York? HBCU.
Right? And so that's what I was like, is this some kind of he didn't feel black enough, so he wanted to go to, it's like, nah, bruh is apparently from Tuskegee. And I'm like, wait, what?
Dang.
Yeah. So I was like, wait, he's from Alabama? And so, yeah, and he's he's a lifetime member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. I was like, wait, what?
Can you imagine him stomping hey. I'm about to AI that shit right now.
Yo, his party line had the most melodic chants.
That's hilarious. Nicole Richie is not like that.
Right? Yeah. Well,
I miss you guys, man. That was met with the illest silence. You know, fuck y'all.
No.
Fuck y'all. No, I'm out.
That was so good.
That was the worst. I feel subhuman. I tried to take a page out of Electric's book and saying some abruptly.
I miss you too.
It just nah, fuck you.
I don't know if it works for everybody.
You saw me.
I don't. Listen, clearly it doesn't. Clearly it doesn't.
I do that so much that I always give people compliments or say something uplifting for them, that they made a space on a bingo card for my phrase.
So we have a Overwatch bingo card. Bingo.
Oh, word?
Yeah.
Oh,
well, not Overwatch. Just anytime we're playing games, but mostly Overwatch.
Things that happen every game.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Are we recording yet?
Yeah, we are. But the thing is, I never realized I did that until
I never realized. So shout out to Hypocrisy for bringing that to the fray.
What was the name of the spot? Electric.
It says heartfelt compliment, but that's specifically for you.
Oh, okay.
There's also Electric celebrates losing.
Yeah, I celebrate losing. Hey,
there should
love
be
the fight,
Electric
man.
Demands we extend the match.
Yes. And there is a spot for that one too.
Yep.
To go to the third round. Yeah, but anyway,
I like fighting, but I like just finishing the fight because that feels delicious.
Anyway,
it's at the beginning.
All right, 3, 2, 1. You like that? Yeah,
just learning.
Welcome.
That's literally on you, bro. That is literally on you. That is on you.
It was a rhetorical, do you like that? Not like, All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Habitual Line Steppers podcast, the podcast that never was, late to the party, Radical Teddy and friends, name pending. I am.
Can you say
the Rebel Alliance?
This is DJ E.
This is
Dick.
Welcome to Late to the Party. This is DJ Ease Ziddick.
The peoples.
The only station that
No.
Exactly. That's why I stopped. I had to stop right there. This is the Rebel Alliance.
This is Scrotawola.
And this is Electric Thunder.
Yay, confetti. So yeah. All right, this week we have a number of things to talk about, but we're going to focus on one.
Okay.
We're going to try to focus on one. Again, there's always a little bit of potpourri in the beginning, and this one was interesting. Is there anything you all want to bring up before we delve into the topics of topic?
I want to talk about causality.
No, hey, we definitely should have a go back, throwback, or to that point, something where we call back to. Oh, that was the other name of the. To that point, I knew I was missing one of the names of the podcast.
So I did something the other day. So I went ahead and I provided. I don't know if you saw in the folder. I started putting transcripts of our podcast just because it's a good thing to have. And then it's like, yo, I have transcripts. Why don't I? Because one of the things I want to do, again, science presenter, want to make sure that I'm communicating effectively and not just I don't want to be that guy that's saying stuff confidently that's wrong.
I'll be that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be that guy. And so
tell me you're about to say you have AI.
I had AI analyze the conversation, and the results are very interesting. Very interesting. So maybe one day we'll do an analysis on previous episodes. But I had it basically look at the arguments that were presented. I had it talk about the strengths and weaknesses of both arguments. I had it what were the best counterpoints or gotcha moments or whatever. And then I had to give awards for least likely to stay on point, most likely to argue somebody else's it made up crazy awards and stuff. And then
if I don't win least likely to stay on point, I will be highly upset.
You got some competition.
I am here for chaos. I am chaos with a soothing voice. That is
but it makes different awards, and then at the end it gives a victor, and it's really interesting. So maybe one day we'll just go back and cover a bunch of those things. Let's talk about education system, the schools, college. What's up?
Oh boy.
Well, so what happened was we were kind of, preemptively looking into things. And one of the things, remember we were talking about the billionaires, and then it was it's interesting. A lot of the billionaires didn't go to or finish college. And, that led to, who didn't? It's Bill Gates didn't finish Harvard. Zuckerberg dropped out of Harvard. Dell didn't finish Texas University of Texas. Don't get those mixed up. Hey, New Texan, never, ever, 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 ever cross Texas A&M with the University of Texas.
At Austin.
They were massive rivals. Yeah.
Texas A&M?
Yeah. Agriculture and mechanical, and then University of Texas.
Yeah.
Specifically the Austin location.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
So anyway, and then of course I, did that sidebar where I was talking about Lionel Richie being black. So shout out to him.
Okay.
But the reason that came up, the whole thing about wanting to sometimes go back to topics that we talked about before, but also spawn new topics. And then this one, the new topic would be, is college necessary? I want to hear your opinions because I also have an opinion.
Define necessary.
For what? So, to that point, let's say what is the purpose of college? To prepare you for a career, right?
No, I don't think so.
Bletcher, what do you think the purpose of college is?
College is a business, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
college wasn't always a business.
I think there are certain jobs out there that require you to have a certain education and a certain document as an entryway into that job, along with networking and good interview skills. So for some jobs, college is necessary. For other jobs, it's not. But all in all, if you want to get out there and get yourself a great career, I don't think college is necessary.
Well,
not in today's time.
To that point, I definitely believe there are certain careers where this person better be college educated. Like, I'm not going to a doctor that didn't go to college.
Agreed.
Like,
yeah.
I had an argument with somebody that was arguing the opposite point. I'm like, all right, bro. They were anarchists, so like they didn't know what they were talking about. But I think one of the problems is that we view college incorrectly. Awesome. College is not the place to go so you can get a job. That's not the purpose of college. College is not. College may be a business, but college is not a business, right? Because college wasn't a business.
Say that better.
College may be a business in some cases, but the idea of college is not a business idea. It's not like, hey, let's make money by doing this college thing. Colleges existed before colleges were profitable. Like colleges and universities existed. And why do they exist? They existed because you want to educate the populace past a certain point, right? University is like how to get in my language, university is called mahadum. Mahadum is essentially means I know everything, like I know stuff. It's a place where you go to learn more. It's essentially where nerds go to get more nerdy, right? And there's a lot of value in having more knowledge about this planet, about certain things, than not having those things. We've all been to the room where we've been in with people that are just way smarter than us, right? That doesn't mean they're better or stronger and live a better life, but just there is something admirable, in my opinion, about education. And this throws back to the conversation we had previously where people don't value education. Well, yeah, because people look at education as a degree as like, that's worthless. A college degree is not worthless. A college degree is only worthless to people because people charge too much for college degrees. And it's not the school's fault. Because if you look at the reason why college education is so expensive, it's not the universities, right? So they're getting mad at the system and they're getting mad at the actual educational system as opposed to the capitalist system that are controlling and pulling those levers that are gatekeeping certain educations for people.
So you say it's not the school's fault for the pricing. So whose fault is it?
Oh, man. I mean, everything's Reagan's fault.
I don't think we ain't got time. Literally, we have time.
Everything's Reagan's fault.
That sounded muffled. Can you repeat that, Brent?
Everything is Ronald Reagan's fault.
No, I was just saying, don't sound like we don't have time to go into it. That's literally what we're here for. Go into it. You're not wrong. Reagan did definitely jack
You're
that
the
up.
poli-sci guy. Why don't you explain it?
Oh, no, because I don't want to get it wrong because he wasn't my focus of poli-sci.
Well, before we get to the Reagan thing. Okay, go ahead.
No. I'm going to look it up real quick just because I want to get it right.
So Reagan, in part of his, I'll go off the top of my head. The comp sci science guy is trying to do this, right? So, essentially, when Reagan wanted to redistribute like the wealth and do the whole Reaganomics, trickle-down economics and stuff like that, he had to find a lot of money to get this done, right? And so one of the ways he did that was that he said, "Hey, we're not going to subsidize as much of college education as we want, and we're going to instead give out these, create these loans, like these Perkins loans and these other, I don't know if it's a Perkins specifically, but we're going to create like the Staffords and Perkins loan in order to give people, the opportunity to go to school, because once they go to school, they'll come out all successful and they can pay it back, and that'll stimulate the economy. So we're giving people, an incentive to do well in school instead of just giving away this education. And then that will, the money we get from the revenue from the loans and stuff, we'll use that to fuel the economy, aka pay rich people stuff. And so when he did that, basically that forced colleges to raise their prices because it was no longer getting subsidized as much from the government anymore. And so you saw that especially in like a lot of public schools. Private schools were like, yo, let's just take this and just make our prices even higher, because if the public schools are raising prices and we're not raising prices, why are people going to go to us? So that, like in one fell swoop, made college education significantly higher in America. And year after year, like it kind of started getting worse until it just like ballooned. But almost every administration since then has done a lot to like make it worse.
According to the University of California, before Reagan became governor of California, tuition was free, especially for California residents.
Yeah, bro.
However, Reagan viewed University of California system as disruptive, and his distaste and intent, was like later revealed by an FBI memo. Essentially, once he became governor, he cut state funding of public universities by 20%. His justification was that the colleges had become too liberal and taxpayers shouldn't be subsidizing intellectual curiosity. This reasoning represented a shift in the purpose of college. College was no longer a place to pursue higher intellect and endeavors, but rather a place for maximizing profit-making skills. Eventually, the state funding became only 32% of the total budget, causing the system to have to charge a tuition of $630 for the first time. This fee steadily increased, with the University of California, Irvine now costing $13,000 for in-state residents. As state funding has decreased, increased reliance on tuition hikes has put a financial burden on students.
I almost went to that school, but exactly.
Yeah.
The shift of college became not about just getting smarter and being a more productive member of society that's just work with more information. It became like, how can we make money? And it frustrates me as someone who cosplays as an educator, you know what I mean? To watch people shit on education systems because of the wrong things when they're not real, when they're complaining about like, the thing that actually they're not fighting the real enemy kind of thing. I know it sounds real cliche and stuff like that, but people are like, when people attack Common Core and people attack the Department of Education, it's like, dude, the thing you're complaining about is not caused by these people. It's caused by these shitty ass systems and these shitty ass politicians that like have created the system and prop it up and perpetuate it. So is college necessary? It depends on what define necessary.
Well, what are you exactly? So what is the goal? So for instance, this kind of goes back to a old debate between W.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington, where they were debating about how Black people could advance. And W.B. Du Bois was talking about like the talented 10th. We should focus on education and, elevating our intellect and skills and then become the people who lead and change policy. Whereas Booker T was like, skip that mess. We need to get higher. We need jobs. We need vocational training so that we can make some money and then pull ourselves up. And that was the two. Right. We've kind of done it both ways, and it's interesting to see how things are continuing to play out from this. I don't want to say like mindset, but like competing paths of thought from way back when.
I've always leaned more towards Booker T. Washington's philosophy because putting all of that on the talented 10th requires a lot of assimilation, and typically systems like that don't necessarily trickle down the way that you think they will. But I do see the importance of it. But I'm more so of like, again, let me just be blunt. Let me just be straight up. Is college necessary? No, it's not necessary. But it's not useless, right? College is incredibly important for people to have advanced education. And I think advanced education is something that a certain sect of the population needs to have. Period. It's required for society. It's required for a civilization to have people with an advanced education. If everyone's educated as a tradesman, there's gonna be no innovation. Society's gonna stagnate. Now, some people say college isn't for me. Most of those people aren't really applying themselves very well, but I do believe that some people college isn't for them, and there's lots of reasons why that may or may not be true. I do say that knowing that some people probably don't need to go to college, but as far as like how to optimize and increase your upward mobility, there's no other way in this country to do that faster and cheaper, in my opinion, more reliably than pursuing higher education. It's like there's like too much information about it.
That's what I was going to say. You can have one generation go to college and completely change the trajectory of a family.
Absolutely.
I will also say that some of the things that people think about college aren't necessarily the benefits of college. And to that point, the network that you build in college is just as valuable as the classes you take. You know what I mean. So
yeah. What's your take on it, Electric?
It for me, it just depends on the person. Some people need to acquire more knowledge as they grow, and other people are just want to work, right? But people that just want to work and they're not diligent with studying or keeping up with their studies, those people probably won't do great in college. That was me. I didn't do great at college at all. I barely made it out. I didn't finish high school. I took my GED and went to college. So for me, like, getting through college was such a struggle. And it wasn't because I wasn't smart or anything. I was always told I was very smart. Problem was I had bad study habits, and I was working full time and trying to raise a kid at the same time. And raising a kid on the weekend, because my son didn't live with me. So a lot of my study time, I really didn't have any. So that made school very difficult. If I can go back, I probably would have taken some sort of certification instead of doing college, because it took me almost 10 years to graduate with a bachelor's. And then I'm still paying, like, over 10 years after, I'm still paying my tuition. In my opinion, it depends on the person. If you're someone who has really good study habits, it might be great for you. And also depending what you're looking forward to working as. Are you looking forward to becoming a plumber? Then no, college is not worth it. Go and get a trade certification.
Yeah.
If you're looking, even IT now, I didn't study for IT and I work in IT and I have a very good position. My degree didn't get me here. I took a class for 6 months and I busted my ass in that class. See, that's the difference. I studied what I wanted to study and I excelled in it compared to what I did in college all those years. I wasn't interested in any of that stuff that I was learning in college. So I did horribly. I studied IT on my own, and the instructor was so impressed. I took a 6-month course and I completed it in 3.5 months. And then 3 months later, I landed my first tech job. So,
I think one of the interesting things that you bring up, though, is that you said you took a specific course for a specific, job and or career. There's a lot of people who don't know what they want to do in life. And part of the benefit of college is that you, especially if you do it right, your first year, you're exposed to a number of core classes that just, hit a range of topics so that you could potentially figure out which one you would want to major in. Or you could do what Uchenna and I did, which is just go in as an engineering student, skip all the rest of that. It was like, this is
just
what my career
bulldoze
is
that
gonna be.
mug until something happens. He hit some steel. I'm like, I can't go any further.
Yep.
so
And then figure out you don't want to do that anymore in your first year, and then have to start all over again.
I have a counter.
You were going to say electric.
You just said.
Okay, go ahead.
So the difference between college and the course that I took, I started off with computer info systems. That was my first semester, right? I didn't even last 2 weeks, and I decided to change my major simply because of the rigorous testing. All right, I'm a bad test taker. So I was in the class. Everything was totally new to me. I always wanted to work on computers. I loved computers. I had just gotten a computer at home. I was so excited about it. And I felt like this is what I wanted to do. I took that class, and just how rigorous the testing was going to be, it made me quit. And I mean, I had confidence issues at that time. I knew, I knew I didn't have good study habits or anything. But with the course that I took that actually got me into IT, and we're talking about like this is like 20 years later. I sit there and I'm like, oh, I can do this. Oh, I don't have to take any tests. Oh, there's a test at the end for my certifications. Okay, that's cool. I can do this. And then not only that, but I can record our sessions and study them on my own time. That worked for me. So I think there's also an issue with like college and the way it's presented to people as well, because people learn in many different ways.
This is what I was going to say. So just for transparency, my master's my master's thesis was on school readiness and educational assessment. Basically, how do we judge and determine if people are ready for school? How do we judge educational like deficiencies versus educational like delinquency or whatever, right? And what I hear from electric is something I hear that's very common from people who didn't go to college, but yet have managed to work well and do well for themselves. Because not everybody does what you do, electric, right? And I'm not speaking as a college is best kind of elitist or whatever. I am an educational snob, but for different reasons. Is that what I heard you say was you spoke to a lack of the ability to like, he said something about like, if you're not a good test taker, then maybe college isn't for you kind of thing. And you're on a podcast right now with at least one, but I'm pretty sure two other people who are horrible test takers, right? And we had a lot of the same difficulties and a lot of the same strife that I believe you're talking about that you and a lot of other people did in our college. I think that the difference is that I came from a background of people who basically were saying that this is the standard, this is the norm. And they kind of moved me into it. And I think one of the things that's missing from a lot of people who are not able to push past that is not intelligence or not durability, it's support, right? I had a support network that was like, listen, you are not failing. You're just not going to. And I know personally, I'm not saying you didn't, I don't know what your support network looks like, electric, but I'm saying,
I didn't have any.
I know if I didn't have a support network, I absolutely wouldn't have finished. That just wouldn't have happened, you know. And I probably wouldn't have went back. And in hindsight, I would have been like, man, college sucks. So like, oh, that, you know. But it's just like, I didn't find out what I loved doing until, like Brent said, a little bit after I had been exposed to a lot of different things. I graduated in computer science, trying to go for an electrical engineering degree, and found out that the computer science degree at my school was highly theoretical and not practical. Now, that was frustrating, but it allowed me to think, you know, about higher level computation, think about higher level problem solving, things that I know that my colleagues in DeVry who can program me under the table cannot do. And that allows me to market myself in a way that, you know, depending on the market is valuable, invaluable to certain companies, right? And the proof is in the pudding of like just the track record that I've had in my career, you know, albeit like tech is crap right now and I'm, you know, in between, you know, things, but I value that. And I value the ability that I know I can do what, you know, people that have gotten certifications and things can't do. Yet at the same time, I need the people with the certification because I can't do what they do, you know? So I think pursuing education is important and pursuing education is valuable in and of itself. I think that the problem is that maybe our educational systems need to be reformed. And there needs to be proper support for people who might not have it so that they can actually give college an actual college try instead of running into the difficulties that almost everyone runs into, you know, and dipping because of it.
Well, how are they going to make the money on the repeat classes that you got to take because you failed it?
How are you going to what?
I don't think colleges want to really help people. I didn't receive any help when I was in college. I tried, and they were just like...
I think certain colleges have better support systems than others.
Yeah.
To say that colleges doesn't want to help people is a giant blanket that we're putting over every single college system instead of the college system that you were part of.
You know what? You're right. I'm only speaking from my reference of experience.
But the situation is so personal and it's so hurtful to some people that they project that outwards, right? My brother was at Xavier University, and the amount of like support that these people poured onto them at this HBCU was insane. I was like, yo, they are like really about that business. And it's like, I never received that at Tufts where I went, but I realized that like, oh, I'm supposed to be like an adult. They want me to go to the tutoring session. Yeah. They want me to like go to office hours. I didn't know that. You know, and my brothers and my dad, I'm like, yeah, you need to go to office hours so your professor like can't stand you. Like, what do you want to do, Chenna? Like, that's what you want, you know? And I had to learn how to do that over the course of, you know, 6 years, basically, you know what I mean? Until I perfected in grad school. They knew who I was, you know? But, you know, I think that reform I'm talking about is making sure that you have the right professors, you have the right advisors, you have the right everything in place to give people the best chance for success. But again, education is not valued in this country. So we're paying these people the least amount of money. we're giving them the least amount of support, and we're about to try to strip the entire Department of Education down to give them even less tools to ensure, academic success for people.
That's a big concern for me right now.
What?
That's a big concern for me right now because my son is about to complete his first year of college, right? And he wants to study to become a physical education teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't tell him anything about it. I want him to make his own choices, right? I spoke to him and we discussed how much they make and stuff like that. But he's very once he makes his mind up, he's like, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm like, you know what? Fine, you do it.
Where he gets that from?
But
what?
But I'm like,
tree.
It's not worth it, like. I'm just concerned about his well-being and his future, and will he be able to take care of himself when I'm gone, on that salary. So that's a huge concern for me, like him going to college to become a teacher, and not to knock teachers and not to knock your salaries, but they should be getting paid a lot more, especially as like growing up as a kid, I was horrible to teachers. And I look back at it and I truly regret all the fucked up shit I used to do and say to teachers as a kid.
You should write them. You should holler at them. You should find them.
I don't remember any of the teachers that I went to school with.
Research.
But definitely teachers should get paid more. And now like they're trying to cut, more budget from education. Like, these teachers, what are they going to do, man?
Where they going to put that extra money?
Right.
I love billionaires, says everybody else on this podcast.
Yep. Well, I mean, you never know. So, mess around and have privatized schools.
I didn't say I love billionaires, by the way.
That's what I heard.
No, that's what you heard. That was your perception.
That's what I heard.
I said the discussion was, should billionaires be capped? And I said no. But I didn't say I love billionaires.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You just said it right now, actually. That's when you say that, that's all I hear.
Oh my god. All right.
I think another interesting aspect of this, because from something that I'm hearing in what Electric said, does talk to personal responsibility, but also the industry that you're going into. Do they value your college education? Because, like you said, there are some roles that will accept a certification, but other roles that, it doesn't matter if you went to Bob's, technical university, as long as you have that degree, it's, you've checked the box for entry into that career and that role. I don't know if that is changing. Do you think that is changing? And if we're going to see, and, as we said, we're becoming a nation that no longer values education or intelligence. Are we going to see a shift in that, in more careers and more roles? And what would that look like?
So I was talking about this with my brother and my wife back when I was applying for colleges and stuff like that as an engineer. The engineering school you went to, quote unquote, really mattered. You wanted to make sure you went to a really good engineering school. I'm in the computer sciences. At this point in time, don't nobody care about what college you went to. They care about, did you get a degree? They care about what they care about, what can you do? And the certain jobs that require a degree care about, did you get a degree from an accredited university, right?
Yeah.
I think if you're going to business school or if you're going to law school, like that may affect the opportunities that you like. I think the name of your school may carry more weight with your like job applications and stuff like that. But if I went to MIT versus the school I went to California State University, Fullerton for my master's degree, shout out Titans, right? Another elephant mascot. They don't really care. It's like, yo, you want to accredited degree? You know how to do the stuff? Cool, you're good. And that changed. That changed when I was going from undergrad to grad school. I think that mattered to some and not with others. But I tell people because of that, unless you're in one of these professions, right, that going to Wharton Business School means something if you're going to be, I don't know, some business guy, right? I don't know about that stuff, right? But it doesn't matter if you went to the University of Houston, because that's, first of all, Cougars are an amazing school, so let me not say that. It doesn't matter if you went to like Sam Houston State, which is not a nationally accredited school from what I know. Don't come at me, Sam Houston. Or if you went to like Caltech, right? Now, granted, you will have more opportunities at Caltech just because it is a larger school with more money, with more opportunities, with probably more connections, right? But you still have the same education. It's accredited. It's the same. It's like going to Catholic church in anywhere in the world on Sunday. It's the same thing, right? It should be the same thing, right? So as long as you're not doing that, then go where you need to go and minimize the cost, because what's going to happen is, look, if you can, this is my advice to anyone who's like 17, 18, applying to school. Are you going to be a business person? Are you doing econ? Are you going to med school pretty soon, right? Are you applying to med school right after undergrad? If you're not, then find a state university that's local and live with your parents. Prices are insane through the roof. They're going to be worse by the time I actually finish this sentence. Pay off, have no debt, essentially. If you're in California, Californians need to listen to me. Like, they subsidize the hell out of education in California, where it's like stupid cheap, and people still don't go because Californians are like, yo man, education's a scam, bro. It's like ridiculously cheap to get that's why I went to grad school in California. Go to school. They give you just a ton of money and get the education. Find a support system and do that. Don't go all the way to Boston, Massachusetts, and go to some weird liberal arts private college. Don't do that. Don't go all the way to this place. Go to a local school, live at home, get your accredited degree
at university,
and call it a day. That's my advice, because it's a scam the way that, people are setting these school prices, because these school prices are stupid. It's not necessarily the school's fault. So
I have a story about this.
Story?
Yeah. So my second finance job, right? The job that got me out of New York. I started working there. I have my 4-year degree, right? I'm working next to a kid, and we're another guy. We're talking about, like our college tuition and stuff like that. So I must have racked up almost $40,000 in college tuition debt. Not a lot of money, because I know a lot of people it is a lot of money, but I know a lot of people pay a lot more. Yeah. And especially for me to go to a city college, but I just kept failing classes and retaking classes. So I was just messing up all over. So the kid next to me, we're making the same amount of money. And he was telling me how much he pays every month for his tuition. And I'm like, geez, how come? Like, that's so much money. You're trying to get out of it fast? He's like, oh, yeah, I owe about $100,000. I'm like, you owe $100,000 in tuition, and we have the same freaking job sitting right next to each other, making the same amount of money. This is insane, right? Then come to find out there's another kid, right, that he works parallel to our department, working in the same bank. I find out this kid didn't even go to school. He was 19 years old, straight out of high school, landed this job. And that's only because he knew the vice president.
Network.
Yo, crazy, man.
So,
like, I was so upset when I found that out. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, this kid did not put any money towards his tuition, did not put any time towards his study to learn this stuff. And like, he's working right next to us, like, it was just so upsetting at the time, only because I'm like, man, I guess I wanted an opportunity like that, just to be that lucky. So, but
that is part. Awesome. I mean, there's a hustle to it, though. Yeah. Like, there are a lot of folks who, pay a lot of money to go to a specific school, and then that specific school, they, get whatever degree they get, and then they go into a job or career where it's like, you didn't need to go to this school for this job, and you didn't need to necessarily even get that. You took whatever courses you took. You didn't necessarily need to take those courses to still land this role. And I mean, I can say that from experience. I went to one of the most expensive colleges in the nation. We've talked about it before. Go Jumbos. And I switched from double comp sci minor. So that's electrical engineering for those who don't know. Electrical engineering with a computer science minor to poli-sci, because I was going to be president. Well, not president. I was going to be a senator, because back then being a black president was crazy. That would never happen in a million years. And then it did. And then I switched from poli-sci instead of trying to go to law school into music because more people could name a song that they couldn't stand and sing the lyrics from it than could name their senators. In the end, I left doing music, and I remember a good friend of mine at the time was an actor, and he went to college for 4 years to do acting, and he said something that always resonated with me is that he doesn't regret going to college, but he does understand the fact that when he goes to an audition, there's some people that are his same age that didn't go to college and had 4 years of auditioning ahead of him.
Yep.
So it matters what you do with it. And yes, he could go teach. I could go teach as, bachelors of music, bachelors of acting that he had. But at the same time, I don't know that we would value college the same way as someone who definitely needs it for their career. The funny thing is, then I did it again where I was switching careers. And so you did it twice just to make sure, just in case you missed one.
While I was gone.
I did. To that point, I was switching careers and wanted to go into, I wanted to go into finance. So I started doing an MBA. Went through my finance courses. They were cool. Didn't do as great in them as I wanted to, but I started taking marketing courses. And in marketing courses, I was like, yo, wait, this just makes sense. I love this. And so I wound up doing a marketing major and a double major with information systems, which was, I think, something you mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, I finished with a MBA with double major of marketing and information systems, and wound up then on like the last college fair. Like, it was a career fair. So part of the degree, they would make you go to just, not make you, but it was highly suggested that you go to these career fairs. And the last career fair was in a blizzard, is the company that I'm working for now. And I went and didn't realize that they were recruiting for their trainee program. So I'm going into the trainee program with a bunch of kids that just finished their undergrad degree. So then it's like, well, now I did an MBA. I didn't even need to do an MBA to do this training program. Like, I could have just come here straight out of undergrad. That said, I will say, having gone through an MBA, my first 4 or 5 years there were kind of a breeze, because the things that would be thrown at us as trainees were like light work compared to what we were doing as an MBA. Not to mention, like, when I went to certain meetings, I would understand everything that was going on from a macro level, and also like what we were doing to position ourselves, and also to help clients, because, I understood like operations, I understood like finance, the different areas of a business degree that you take. And I would say that helped me advance faster, than I would have had I been coming straight out of undergrad. I think. I don't know, because that's the way that I did it. But I feel like the MBA paid for itself in helping me advance as fast as I did. And then, of course, literally having to pay that bill back with all the promotions and raises and whatnot. So, is college necessary? My experience would say no, but is it beneficial? My experience says yes.
I think without a doubt it's beneficial. But again, there's just so many different ways. It's like roulette, right? Roulette's a gambling game. There's no way to play the game, but there's a smart way to do it and a not smart way to do it, right? Just getting a college degree doesn't necessarily ensure success or whatever. There's a smart way to do it and a not smart way to do it. And one of the things that like I hear from a lot of people who are like very anti higher education is, you don't need that degree. You can do A, B, and C, or you're going to be a teacher, you're going to be a this, you're going to be a that. You might as well just stay and do this thing, right? From a lot of the people who are very much like anti 9 to 5, these like the people I'm talking about are also the people who are like anti 9 to 5. Like, I'm only doing this because I got to hustle, grind set or whatever, right? You can grind with the degree, If you don't need the degree in order to like be the next Elon Musk or whatever, right? That these people fantasize about. Then like having a degree probably helps you to do that. You know, being a teacher maybe has a low salary cap, right? But there's other things that you can do to further fulfill yourself financially. A lot of people are like, oh, I invest in the markets. You can do that. You can do whatever you want to do. It's just that it's not like I get a degree, I'm a teacher, and then I stop. That's it. That's the only thing I could do. You know, there's so many other things to do. So I would say if you are worried about, you know, your son's financial perspectives, which again, as a dad, you're gonna be worried about it, right? Then what else are we supplementing? Are we talking about saving money? Are we talking about like making sure that we're investing correctly? Are we making sure that the financial literacy that comes outside of that salary is present and in place? Because that's something that I'm still learning now because it wasn't really taught to me. You know, I was taught, go get a good job, get a good, you know, salary, and then you're good to go. So then like in times of turmoil or in times of, you know, struggle, I don't have a lot much to fall back on outside of a salary that I may or may not have, you know? So people who are very anti-college, it doesn't make sense to me unless college is a straight up bad thing. If you can go to a cheap college, get a degree, and still do whatever you want to do on the side while still getting paid that steady income, then why not do that?
Right.
You know,
I do, even though I did the exact opposite, value. Actually, I had two different modes of operation, but I do completely agree with, look, don't spend a lot. Go where you find value and get it. I will say that there's a number of times where people find out where I went to college and it changed the way they look at me. Whether it's I was making an argument, you know, and then they figure out I went there, and then they're like, "Oh, well, no, let's listen to what he has to say." As opposed to if I just went to Bumble whatever school, and they'll, you know, they might not, they may continue to doubt me. Cool. At the same time, it's funny because my MBA is from the school where I went there knowing, oh, I'm going to be living in New York. In New York, it has the name recognition. I know if I go anywhere else, they're going to say where, and it's not going to, like, the name, the brand is not going to matter.
Yeah.
But I was planning on staying in New York. So in New York, it's cool. At the same time, a lot of times they see my undergrad listed and assume that's where, you know, these degrees and things are, like, this knowledge that I have is from. And it's like, no, I was a music major there. So, now that, you know, like I said, I came in as double E and we just switched because he and I also went to an engineering high school. So in high school, we were doing like AutoCAD, you know, coding and all of this other stuff. So there's kind of a game to it in that where the brand can push you through a door that you might not necessarily had open to you. And I think that's another benefit, but not necessity of college. Slapping somebody with your degree.
Yeah. For me, it's not. It's the whole changing how they talk to you or whatever is less of where I went and the fact that I do have an advanced degree.
Right.
So it's like not so much anymore because, you know, as I got older, having a master's in something is a lot. And as I've climbed, having a master's is a lot less more raw, you know what I'm saying? But it's just
now you rest on your title itself.
I rest on the title itself, exactly. So sorry, I just want to, like, it just frustrates me. There's just so much anti. Again, this goes back to anti-intellectualism. Doctors are just out to make money and make you sick, and teachers are out to just take you money from you because it's a business. And it's okay, then don't learn anything. You know, everyone can't be a plumber. Like, everyone can't be, you know, one of these important jobs. But like, it's funny how people will will, scoff at educational excellence, but like use a cell phone or like go get like medicine from the drugstore or like live in their house. You know what I'm saying? So
that recreational drug, a chemist still put that together.
Drive your car, yeah. Walter White.
Right.
Yeah, you just dropped the bar for everybody right there. For anybody that's like anti-education.
So anti-intellectualism and conspiracy theory are linked because people who, screw it. This is where my educational snobbery is going to shine, okay? People
you paid a lot for that snobbery.
I paid a lot for this, right? People who are all like super and listen, I'm no fan of like either political party either. So let's not get that twisted, right? But people who are very much like counterculture, like, oh, the government, this, that, and the third, and open your mind, sheeple, and very conspiracy theory oriented, everyone likes feeling smart, right? And so if you don't have a subject that that you're smart on, that you can sit there and feel comfortable with, the best of them on, right? Then it tends that people will start feeling like less, oh, I'm not this, oh, I'm not that. If I'm in a room of like a bunch of physics and listen, all of my friends are poli-sci people. They know all about the political science and political. I don't know nothing when it comes to like branding like their friends. I just try to keep up. You know what I mean? But because I know that I'm an intelligent person, it doesn't bother me too much. But the reason why people are like, doctors are trying to do this and schools are trying to do this, I think that it's because they want to bring that down so that they can feel smart about something, right? Like, oh, you think that the vaccine is something that's good for you? Oh, that's because you're a sheep. It's like if you know something that no one else knows, now you're one of the smart people and everyone else is stupid. And now you can flaunt that thing and say, oh, well, everyone else is ridiculous. Look at these people in their big universities that don't know anything. I didn't even go to school and I know that. That's why we say Bill Gates didn't finish high college and Mark Zuckerberg didn't finish college. Mark Zuckerberg's parents are dentists. Like he was fine. He has the luxury to actually say, you know what, I'm not going to finish Harvard.
Right.
And I'm going to go do this other thing, People forget
that's part of why that's the part that people skip. Like the reason they didn't finish is because they had this business that they started that was going somewhere.
That they were able to start because the opportunities they were granted because of not only, listen, I'm not saying he didn't do anything, but they were granted those because of the way that they were set up. And again, the support that he had to be able to go out and do something crazy, because if he failed, he'd be fine.
And not to mention, look at all these like professional athletes. Nobody's ever like, man, he made $200 million this year, but he didn't even finish college. It was like, but he got drafted. Like he couldn't finish. He could have finished, but then he wouldn't have got drafted. If he had stayed to finish, then y'all be saying like, wait a minute, he gave up how many millions of dollars?
Exactly.
Hold on, your mic is coming across. Like, can you unplug your mic? Plug it.
Again, we realize it's a connection deal.
Were you hearing it, or was it just me?
It's okay. It's a connection. It's a connection. But yeah, so like it's just like people are very selective with the way they see things. Like the situation you described, and I don't want to sound like I'm like getting on top of you, but I think you bring up a lot of situations that are very indicative of other things I want to talk about. It's like, this guy's paid a lot of money for his college, and we're all sitting here doing the same job. Well, yeah, like I remember the job I got after my grad school program, right? And people were making more than me. Like, oh, you went to grad school, but it's like, yeah, you're still at that job, and I've made more money than you've made, like, period, since then,
Right.
So it's like that's a slice in time where it's like, yeah, we're all here, all working on the same job, probably all getting paid the same thing, but that doesn't mean that our prospects are the same. That doesn't mean that our outcomes and where we're going to be in the next 5 years is the same. Where I am, it may enable me to go further than you. Where I am may enable me to go just as far as you, and in which case then it is like, okay, well then I went to college and we're even now 5 years later in the same position. Now I, the person with a college degree holder, now I say, whoa, why is that? Because I have something that you don't have, which allows me to achieve more, but I'm not using it correctly. If I just stop there, that's on me. The person who didn't go to college didn't win. I lost.
The question is college necessary? It all depends on the person. One person that's very career focused, they have great study habits, they can interview well when they get out of college, and they know how to navigate their career field. College is totally necessary. If someone that doesn't have great study habits, they're not going to interview well, and just they don't have the skill set that they require to get in the career that they want to get into and excel in it, it might not be worth it for them. And also,
you just described me.
Did I?
Yeah, absolutely. I just told you I was horrible at these things.
All right,
I was horrible at all of them. And then that ADHD caused a really huge issue with actually like educational advancement and achievement, like within the system. So then if you're describing me, then college isn't for me. I went to college twice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I reject that philosophy because it's like, I don't think that's what depends on what college is for. I think if you know that you're gonna do this trade and a higher education is not needed of it. I think we use a plumber as an example, but I'm sure there's more electricians, mechanic, longshore fisherman, right? If you know that that's what you want to do, then you don't need to go to college for it. And here's the thing. Now, if your life changes and you realize, I'm tired of plumbing, I want to do plumbing. Now you got to go back at the age of 35 or something like that and start enrolling in a college program, which many people do. I have like 2 friends that are literally doing that right now. There's nothing wrong with that. So the question is, do you go ahead and finish college now so you have that in your pocket for later to give you that ability to kind of like move around if you need to? Or do you skirt all the ridiculous costs, do the thing you know how to do, and then just figure it out later? That might be an easy thing to do. It might be really hard. I don't think it's about like what kind of person you are, because there's lots of different kinds of people. Just everyone just needs support.
So
support you.
So your opinion is that college is totally necessary. Is that correct?
No.
Okay.
No.
I think where I differ is why. I think you said like if you're this kind of person, then college is necessary for you, and if you're this kind of person, college isn't. And I don't agree with the whole type of person like stratification of it. Like I don't think that it's about what kind of person you are. I think it's about like what do you want to do? What are your aspirations in life? Are you educated to even enough to even answer that question? Because some people don't even know what the options are. One of the things my dad told us to do when we were little, he's like, hey, what do you want to be when I grow up? I was like, I want to be an engineer. He's like, what kind of engineer? I was like, he was like, go figure out what kind of engineer, go to the library, library Dewey Decimal System, figure out what kind of engineer there are, pros and cons, and then come back to me and then tell me what you want to be. I wanted to be an engineer because I thought as a little kid, engineers like work on like cars and like fix things and like solve problems with like mechanical stuff. Turns out I don't want to work on cars. I want to like work on computers and like technology and stuff. And it wasn't until my dad told me to do that I had to actually realize, okay, well, what do I want to do? He made me go research it. And I was like, oh crap. But like, if I didn't do that, and if I didn't have that support network to tell me for somebody to tell me to do that, then I might have been like, I don't know what I want to do. And then if I don't know what I want to do, why am I going to college?
Also, when I was little, I wanted to be an automotive engineer too. Oh. And then I switched to exactly. And then I switched to double comp sci.
Do that.
Yeah.
You're dope at that. I applaud you. That is not me. You handle that, King.
So with what your dad did for you, right? Where he told you, hey, like, what do you want to do? And then he started exposing you to different ideas or pathways that you can go. When did you guys start learning that from school? Like, was it in high school, junior high?
School.
Ooh, that's
the high school that we the high school that we went to, I don't know if you remember Mr. Bruce, But Mr. Bruce was
an actual guidance counselor.
He was a guidance. He was a guidance counselor, and he legit.
Job.
Yep, and the culture at the high school wasn't like if we're going to go to college or not. It was where you're going to college. This was a foregone conclusion. You're going to college, just where. So he would he would bring colleges down. So that's how we heard of the college that we went to. They came down from Massachusetts, and also Kat that was in the city who had gone there came and recruited at the high school and was like, hey, we're trying to build up our engineering program. Y'all are at engineering high school. Have you heard of Tufts University? And sold us on Tufts. And
we
then
were skipping class, and he was like, y'all want to go to Boston? We were like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and to that point, it's funny because we had this culture in high school that acted like college where, yeah, we might skip a class here and there, but it's because we already knew oh yeah, my grade is going to be this. I only need this many more assignments to get a 90 or whatever in the class. I don't need to go today. This is only point whatever % of my grade.
Very true.
Hey, we're going to go to McDonald's. You want us to bring you some fries back, miss?
Yeah, we brought our teachers food back from our
yeah.
fast food runs in the middle of class.
Yeah, man. But it's also because we knew our grades were part of what was keeping the school open. So, hey, leverage. I would say that culture, though, of you're going to college was beneficial. And it exposed us to more colleges because as an engineering school, like he said earlier, it matters what college you go to. So they would talk about the Drexels, the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, all of the colleges that are big in the engineering world, as oh yeah, these are the schools we feed to. If you want to go there, we already have this many upperclassmen that already went there. Or, we have a relationship with these schools. We can tell you what to do to get accepted into them. I would say another thing that outside of is college necessary are just the general statistics, though, where, generally college graduates earn significantly more over their lifetime than people who did not go to college. Like we mentioned, the network, that ability, we to this day chat with folks that we met in college. And I've done things where somebody passed me a resume, cool, I'm gonna send it to my job and make sure they can get seen. Same thing with some of my cats that one of the people that works with me now, I didn't even go to college with this person. They just happened to go to my same graduate school and through the same program. So I got their resume, passed it to my job. They got hired. So that person definitely benefited from going to college because they work now at this company. That's a great company to work at. So it's things like that where, yes, this person didn't necessarily need to go to college, but it definitely was beneficial.
Yeah,
I also want to mention, just in case there are any young listeners right now listening to this,
go to college.
Yeah, I would say I would go on the side of these guys. My personal experiences sucked because my life took a different direction. I didn't take college as serious as I probably should have, and there were just a lot of obstacles in my way. And everyone has problems, and other people probably have the same problems and did very well in college. Don't take what I'm saying as a reason to not go to college. Apparently, Rebel and Scroda had, better experiences in college, and, they're living fruitful lives from it. I did go to college, even though I'm saying it's not necessary. There are other, if college is not for you and if you're up against the fence, consider trades, trades can also be very helpful, but don't let any of my negativity today affect your decision. So,
what's interesting about that? Yeah. You mentioned that he and I had a different experience, and I just remembered there is that aspect of he and I went to a college where we were in a completely different state, lived on campus, all 4 years, or on campus, off campus. But the point is, like, we had that campus experience where, like, oh, there's like, a residential quad, academic quad, like massive green and beautiful architecture buildings and that whole nine. That experience where, like, when we got there, they still had Latin on the logo and everything. And you really felt that higher education ambiance, if you will. I would definitely feel differently about college if I had stayed home, just commuted to college and whatnot. I did that for one of the summers. One, it was a breeze because it didn't feel like I was really doing work. It was like, I'm just going here, bang out this course, this paper, whatever, go back. But at the same time, I did appreciate the experience of living in dorms, cracking jokes all night with my, peers, doing study halls with teaching each other problem sets and whatnot, and like developing those relationships. I mean, technically, hell, my wife now is because this dude introduced me to her. Like, yeah, so like my whole relationship, adult relationship is based on network from college. Like,
and this dude is
a friend of a friend. Yeah, exactly. And I met you because of her. No.
Oh, that is funny.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. We are all friends because of Scrota.
Yes.
Network. You met your wife through Scrota. Mm-hmm. I met you through your wife. So if it wasn't through Scrota,
hey,
Scrota's the anchor,
thing, baby.
No podcast. But yeah, so that aspect of it, the experience of being on campus, having that quintessential collegiate period of your life where you live on your, you have a roommate and then you live on your own and you discover like who you are. I think is definitely not necessarily worth the full cost of some of these colleges now.
That's
crazy expensive.
A little crazy.
College is crazy expensive, but you could get that same experience for the low price of apparently $13,985 for in-state residents at University of California, Irvine.
So with the rising costs,
and UCI is a good school.
Yeah,
it's a really good school.
Yeah, hey, you know how much our school costs right now?
No, I won't hear it.
All right, cool.
So with the rising costs of education right now and the advent of AI, and with the potential future of AI replacing X amount of jobs, I'm trying to think of like, would people going to college now taking on this new debt with how the job market might be in 10 years from now, would it be worth it for them? Because even I
got something I want to tack
even
on
with
to that
my
question.
career now, like, I think to myself, I gotta do something quick because in 10 years I might be, I might have to do something else. And, as we get older, transitioning careers is not going to be easy.
Hey, to add on to that, knowing what you know now, would you have still gone to college and what would you have studied?
Knowing what I know now, I would have finished with computer info systems. I would have went to school, finished with that.
I hate you, dude.
No, I'm talking shit. I honestly, with what I know now, if I can go back in time and give myself a playbook, I would have told myself, yo, just get some certifications. You're going to be all right. You don't need to do school. That would have been my plan because I would have went straight into IT. And I probably would have gotten into it at a younger age. And, I probably would have had
further along now.
Yeah, exactly. And for my job, just as long as you know how to do the damn job, you're going to get in. They don't care what your background is. Like, they don't care if you didn't go to school or not. If you're a mad genius in tech, like, you don't need a degree. you show that you present your work. That's all you have to do. Hey, look at my website. These are all the projects I worked on. And
so I want to make a very clear distinction. Is college's utility and college's price tags are not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And people try to say college isn't worth it because it's so expensive. You can go to a community college that's not as expensive and get a college education. So let's just throw that out the window. You can go to a community college and find scholarship money and just go for free. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So college, whether college is like useful and whether college is too damn expensive are two different things. College is too damn expensive, period. It just is, right? I think Bernie Sanders wanted to make community college free, which is like genius, but whatever, right?
Yeah, my wife got a full ride to our college, and yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Not everybody.
You and
not everybody's a brainiac that can get a full ride. You know what I'm saying? But people can take cheap community college courses over some time and get a degree. Like that's a thing that can happen, even if it's an associate.
I don't even think
that's still a very useful degree, right?
Well, I don't even think it was that. She pieced together a bunch of little scholarships into a full ride, and I'm mad at myself for not doing that. Like, granted, the same way we had an awesome guidance counselor in high school, the financial advisors at our university were amazing. Because, like, I went to that lady, the black lady, she found everything under the sun to, like, get that cost down. But still, like, I wish I had been up on, there's this scholarship, there's this little, all I got to do is, like, write this 500-word essay. Sure, I'll write that. Like, I got to write anyway. So I wish I had been more up on that kind of thing. But you were saying, go ahead.
I don't regret going to Tufts. I don't.
No, I love Tufts.
Okay. I don't regret going there. But if I had to do it all over again, and you know, I got younger siblings and stuff that are going through the process. I'm like, don't go to private college, liberal college out and whatever. Stay your ass home. Go to public school. That's exactly what I would do. I would still go to college. I would just go to a different college that's much cheaper and get an education and call it a day. You know, that's what would change. I just want to just make sure that, again, there's lots of reasons that college is expensive, but that doesn't mean college is not useful. You know, we make fun of people who go to college, spend all that money, get an art degree. It's like, yo, you spend all this money for an art degree. Again, that's not utility. That's a cost criticism. You know what I mean?
Hey, you know,
college was free and somebody got an art degree, you'd be like, okay, that's cool. Do your thing.
All right,
you don't understand though. This for me has like an extra little dig because he and I came into college as engineering students. Well, kind of. And we used to make fun of all of the liberal arts kids. Like, oh, what are you studying? Like postmodern ballet. What are you studying today? Right? Only for me to wind up through the course of my collegiate career graduating as a music major, poli-sci minor. So in the end, I was the liberal arts kid that we were making fun of as freshmen.
Yep.
So when he's like, oh, what'd you graduate with? Like art history degree? Or like, he's like, no, that was me.
Yeah. American Studies guys. Majors.
Yeah, I just want to say throughout this whole discussion, I really appreciated this discussion because you really challenged and gave me more information that I needed to actually sit down and think about this, you know, and step out of my own personal experience with college. Because I after I graduated, I was like, fuck this place, you know, and even my son telling me I want to go to college, I felt the way, but I never said anything. I'm like, you know, do what you need to do. But in my head, I'm like, fuck college, you know, go get some sort of trade and you could just start working. But like hearing
Booker T,
hearing you guys' experiences and, you know, Scrota, you know, a lot of the things you said was very insightful and has me thinking a little bit more about this than my own personal experience. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so we're gonna wrap up this episode.
Yep. This podcast brought to you by Harvard. No, I'm kidding. By Tufts University.
Hey.
Wait. Before we even do that, let's we can ask a question to the audience. Get some engagement from that.
Okay.
I like
go wait.
You said it like you had one teed up ready to go. I still like the question of knowing what you know now, would you still go to the college you went to if you went? Would you go if you didn't go? And what would you study? I also want to give a shout out to our class of 2005 at college because they're about to have their 20th anniversary.
Yeah, like in a week or so. I'm gonna be on the other side of the world.
Yep,
I did want to go though.
Down here, nice and warm in Houston. It's gonna be cold.
Hot. It's gonna be hot.
It's gonna
be warm. It's gonna be hot.
No, not there. They're the nor'easter.
Like here, you talking about nice and warm? It's gonna be hot here.
Oh no, it's gonna be cold there. My coworker's up there. She was like, "Yo, it was 40. It was 40."
You're not listening to what I'm saying. I said, "You said you're gonna be here, nice and warm." I said, "No, it's gonna be hot here."
To you, I am habitually comfortable here. I'm from here.
And with that said, y'all, this is the Habitual Line Steppers.
Walk your ass outside and see if you're comfortable.
I am Electric Thunder.
I'm Scrotal.
I'm the Rebel Alliance. This has been the Line Steppers podcast. Late to the party, to that point. Radical Teddy and friends. Name pending. Thank you for listening.
Yeah. Bro,
Uzondu miri